shout out, family, to DJ. He used to go by DJ Finesse. He goes by, and then it was DJ WI, and then it was DJ King Freeman. But shout out to DJ King Freeman. Shout out to Karma Corleone. These I actually grew up with these folks that you saw on that you just saw on the screen. So let me take it back real quick. Let me take it back real quick and share my screen. This is my big bro right here. Um, and it felt good, man. My biological brother passed when when I was 12, and he had me by 11 years. And this brother right here, let me show you. This brother right here, that's Finesse. And when I say to you, he this is my big brother. Okay. He's known me since I was 15 years old, family. So we have, when I say a lot of history, we go back 26 years. 25 years is a lifetime. We go back 26 years. This is my brother. He watched me grow up. You know what I mean? I've watched him grow. He had me by Finesse had me by like 6 years. So I was like 15 and he was 21. And even when I got into situations, you get what I'm saying? And I needed a male covering. He was my big brother. I had got into a little issue, a little situation at McDonald's. I was working at McDonald's. I was 16. And he used to always tell me, never call me unless you are in danger for real. You know what I mean? Like, let me know when you're in danger. If you ain't in danger, don't call me. So I was working at McDonald's. 16-year-old girl. I'm working the front line. And I remember there was this guy named Will. And he was working, he was the burger guy in the back, like he was on the grill, but he was like 30 years old. And we were in there. It's a bunch of kids, literally like running McDonald's. Everybody's like 16, 17, wearing McDonald's, whatever, working. And he kept on messing up this woman's order. She ordered like a hamburger. It was something simple. She ordered a hamburger with no pickles. And he kept giving me, a hamburger with pickles on it. So the woman's laying me out, like, what don't you understand? And I'm like, miss, I'm just, I'm putting the order in. I'm telling them what you need. And so she's laying me out. And I'm telling him, like, man, you keep messing up the order, blah, blah, blah. So he says, man, shut up, B, something, something, something. Now, again, this is a 30-year-old, I don't even want to say man, so-called, I'm going to say adult male. This is a 30-year-old adult male. I'm a 16-year-old girl. So he's like getting frustrated with me because I'm getting frustrated with him because he keep messing up the order. The lady cursing me out. So he's like, shut up, B, something, 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 something. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I got you, B. And I ran into the office. I never forget. I ran into the office and I called my big brother right here. I called him up. And I was like, but that's that dude in here calling me a B. So he was like, I'm on my way, and so he came up there, with Damien, another brother that we know. And they was like, come on, bro, come from behind the grill. You know what I mean? Come from behind the grill or whatever. And of course, the dude, 30 years old, was scared. So he was calling me, calling me out of my name. But when he was confronted by a man, he was scared to come from behind the counter. No, I ain't going, And so anyway, this was my brother right here. This brother that you're looking at, this is my brother. Love him, proud of the work that he's doing. He's leading a movement called Hip Hop Ain't Dead. So make sure that you go to YouTube, type in DJ King Freeman, Hip Hop Ain't Dead, and he releases mixtapes like every couple of weeks. It's another mixtape, Hip Hop Ain't Dead. Him and another brother, shout out to Armade the Apostle, they collaborated on a Hip Hop Ain't Dead event last year. And we're trying to get I know they're in the process of doing it again. So they're promoting Hip Hop Ain't Dead. They're promoting true hip hop, real hip hop, and staying true to the culture. So I just want to shout out to my big brother, DJ King Freeman, sending much love to him. And also family, he lives out in Brooklyn. So for those of you who don't know, haven't heard about it, it's all over social media right now. There was a mass shooting in Baltimore. And Baba Amin and I, we talked about this a couple of days ago. Maybe I think it was on Sunday when we talked about it, but there was a mass shooting in Baltimore. And at that particular time, we knew that 30 people were like shot. And there were 2 fatalities, one being an 18-year-old girl in Baltimore, in Brooklyn. And so my brother that I'm talking about, he lives in that area. And he said that because I was like, do you still live out there? And he was like, yeah, I still live out here. So he lives in that particular area where that happened. And that's in South Baltimore in an area called Brooklyn. And so sending love to him, sending love to everybody in that community. But I do have an update on the Baltimore shooting. I do have an update, family, on it. I was looking at the news with my mother earlier today, and I'm showing you what it looks like on my cell phone. So you see right here, family, it says victims in mass shooting. I'm going to try not to move so it won't be blurry on your end. But victims of mass shooting, it says that 5 were killed. I keep moving. It says 5 killed, 4 range between, and I'll just read it because it keeps getting blurry. 5 were killed, 4 range in the age of 20 to 59. Okay, so 5 people were killed total. When I reported it on Sunday, it was 2 that were killed. So 5 were killed. 4 of the 5 range between 20 and 59. There are 2 children who are hospitalized. One child is 2, the other child is 13, and they are listed to be in stable condition. All right, and so that's an update on the Baltimore mass shooting. A lot of people, and it's coming to pass that a lot of folks, they're interviewing people who were at the party. So a lot of the mature folks and older folks, they went to this block party, and they said as soon as the young crowd started coming in, a lot of the older folks started leaving. As soon as the young folks got there, they started leaving. So that says that 20 to 59 were the shooting victims. But they said a lot of the folks that were shot were younger people. And that's because a lot of the older people, you know how it is when young folks start coming, a lot of the older crowd were like, we out of here. And another person on the news said they noticed that it wasn't a police presence there at the block party. And they found out that it was unsanctioned block party. They didn't have a permit to even do what they were doing. But I was told that they do this every year in that particular community. And so it's not a police presence because it wasn't, I guess, sanctioned by Baltimore City. But I know we don't need Baltimore City to tell us when we could get together, but we see what happened. It wasn't a police presence, and the kids came through. And when the kids came through, the youngins came through, they were there pulling out guns. Matter of fact, we have some footage. Baltimore, I'm going to go here, Baltimore mass shooting update. Yeah, we have some footage showing the youngins actually pulling out guns. So it says mass shooting in South. So this was a day ago. Multiple fatalities, injured. This was a couple of days ago, but it says police continue manhunt for Baltimore mass shooting suspect. So here we go. This guy had pulled out a gun, and it's cameras everywhere, family. So these folks, I tell my students all the time, be mindful of what you're doing, man, out there, because the cameras are telling on these young folks, right? So literally, he's at the party. A guy's at the party with, they had a bunch of backpacks. You know how the young folks carry the guns in the backpacks. And so they have him on film pulling out an AR in his backpack, from his backpack. So they already have the shooting suspect already, because the young folks, what did they do at the parties? What did they do? I just seen you, Baba, join. Baba, what did they do at the parties? Let me bring you in, Baba. Soon as they're at the parties, Baba, you know what they do. They have their cell phones in the air, and they're recording everything, Baba. Right. And what happened was they caught a glimpse of the guy, one of the shooters, because they're saying that they believe it was multiple shooters. They think it was maybe 2 or 3. So they caught a glimpse of the young man taking his AR out of his backpack. So here's the update, family. Here we go. I just want to update you on what's happening in Bmore. Baba came right on time. Here we go, family.
The all-out manhunt for suspects in the horrific mass shooting during a block party in Baltimore. At least 2 people were killed, 28 wounded. Police say more than a dozen victims are under the age of 18. Authorities are now looking at videos of the shooting posted on social media, and today they are pleading.
Now look at this, Baba. You heard it's posted on social media. These fools record everything and telling themselves. Law enforcement is looking at social media to find this guy, because people posted the videos on social media, which is a good thing, because they're able to find the guy, right? But these, that's why I say there's not a lot of smart criminals out here. But here we go.
For anyone with information to come forward. ABC's Ike Ajachi is in Baltimore.
Man, they started banging out here, bro.
Tonight, the manhunt intensifying after a mass shooting at a Baltimore block party that killed 2 people and injured 24 more.
For the record, we don't have control of the scene. We don't have control of the scene.
Tonight, police say multiple weapons were involved, and they believe more than one suspect. The reward growing, now $28,000 for information leading to an arrest.
We won't stop until we find those responsible and hold them accountable.
Just after midnight Sunday, police were called about a shooting at what they describe as an unsanctioned block party. Witnesses telling us they heard 20 to 30 shots fired. Police say 18-year-old Alia Gonzalez died at the scene. 20-year-old Kylise Fagbemi died later at a hospital. 28 other victims also treated, more than half between the ages of 13 and 17.
We have 7 people that are still inpatient. 4 of them remain in critical condition.
It is devastating and it's hurtful. I'm tired of my people killing one another.
This woman, who wanted to remain anonymous, says she was driving, looking for her own family when the shooting happened, and 2 injured girls came to her for help.
And zoomed them to the hospital, and I kept telling the girl, just baby, just breathe in and out.
And tonight, while his city heals, the mayor says this is not just a Baltimore problem.
We have to be honest. This is the United States of America. This is our longest standing public health challenge, and we need to focus on gun violence, regardless of where it happens.
Ike Ajachi is in Baltimore for us again tonight. Ike, are police worried about additional violence going into the 4th of July holiday tomorrow?
That's right, Lindsay. Police say they're on the lookout for possible retaliation from this incident, and they're also keeping an extra eye on the city given the long holiday weekend. Now, no arrests have been made, and law enforcement are still searching for a motive. Lindsay?
Ike Ajachi for us. Thanks so much, Ike.
Hi, everyone.
But check this out, Baba. Hold on. I want to show this. I want to show this to the family. So this was posted. I stopped following this page, family. I stopped following this page. This was posted on IG, on Murder Inc. And I stopped watching it, Baba, when one of my students, he was murdered. And that's how I found out, on Murder Inc. So I was like, I cannot watch this anymore. So check this out. This was floating around. Look at him. Look at him pulling out the egg. Look at him, Baba.
I don't know who it is. I don't know what it is. But one of y'all motherfuckers talk to you, bitch.
Hey, yo, you bitches smell like.
Look at him pulling the AR. He pulling out the AR. Look.
I don't know who it is. I don't know what it is. But one of y'all motherfuckers talk to you, bitch.
Hey, yo.
Look at him. So Baba, he pulling out the AR, and it is not just him. It wasn't just him, Baba.
Right,
it was, from what I was told, they said it was a lot of young people, Baba, at the block party with the backpacks. You know how they'll get the little Gucci backpacks now, or the Louis Vuitton backpack. So there'll be a name brand backpack. So it was a lot of those young guys, they said, running around there with the backpacks, and he pulled out that, you see him pull out that AR. And so what I noticed, and I'm glad that Mayor Brandon, and I'm not a fan of him at all, Baba, but what I do appreciate that Brandon Scott did was say, this is not just a black problem. This is an American problem, which you said 2 days ago, right? And he was on the news earlier today, because the update is that 5 have been killed. So this was a day ago. 5 people were killed, and 2 people are children that are in stable condition right now in the hospital. But he did say, again, he doubled down on his statement. This is an American problem. This is not a black problem. And he said the bigger question is, why are we making it so? Why are we making it easily accessible? Guns easily accessible to children. He said all you got to do is go online, and you can buy the pieces, and there are videos that show you how to put together illegal guns. So he said that's the bigger question. We make it easy to put the guns, in these children's hands. Bob, what are your thoughts right now? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts was that if you want to restrict youth access to guns, start teaching them something. Teaching them to love self. Teach them who the enemy really is, and I bet you it won't be that easy to get guns no more.
Come on.
As long as it's self-hate, as long as they pointing them to each other, then you're gonna have this issue. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be easily accessible. I'm more concerned with what's going on in their minds. Because that's what creates this situation in the first place. And when you have inside of our culture, in our community, a culture subcultures that says I'm a man if I got this AR with me. I'm a gangster if I got this. I'm somebody because I got a little money. I'm somebody because I got a Louis Vuitton bag. Y'all bet not mess with me because I got this AR. Or you got music videos where y'all want to jump in there and get their shirts off and pointing the guns at the thing, but you're pointing it in your mind to another black man. You're pointing it in your mind to somebody else that's in the same situation as you.
Come on,
the only difference between you and them is an address. They're in the same situation as you are, right?
Come
But
on,
because
Baba.
of your miseducation, right, you think that's the biggest threat to you walking around today. So it's a bunch of scared children, right? Afraid children who are afraid of one another, afraid that they're going to victimize each other, afraid that it's not safe. So now I'm coming together and I'm showing my bravado to make this other group of poor Black kids who going through the same things I do afraid of me. Right. And I want you to look at me like I'm the toughest. Look at me like my crew is the one that's on top. But no, none of you are on top.
Come on, Baba.
None of you are on top of anything. You're fighting for a respect that doesn't exist. Right. And we equate when you equate respect with fear, right? Then you have young people walking around thinking that I only get respect if I instill fear in other people. Right. And we're harming each other, not only because of self-hate, but also because of proximity. You can't get nowhere else. As tough as you are, you got a few blocks to be tough on.
Right.
And
Come
you
on.
can't really get nowhere else.
And Baba, look, I'm laughing at shout out to Sister LaDoja. This sister got to come on, man, and promote her project, man. She got an awesome documentary that she finished up, that she completed some time ago. And shout out to her for the documentary. Shout out to Brother Alcacat. I know he was featured in it, but I'm laughing at her comment. She said, call me what you want. She said, call me what you want. She said, I'm telling on every, and she capitalized it. She said, every last one of them. I'm with her. Remember, I said that a couple of days ago. I said, I don't care. Y'all do the whole no snitching. Oh, you only can't snitch and all these rules and all this other stuff. If I see something and what I see is going to assist with bringing justice to the victims, I'm going to tell. So I know some folks that say, oh, that's snitching. Oh, you're going to be in fear for your life. Oh, I'll just have to deal with that. I believe in justice. That's one of the principles of MANHOOD. And I believe in justice and getting justice to folks. So I'm with LaDoja. You call me what you want to call me. All right.
Hey, where I'm from, Virginia can't snitch.
Yeah. So my whole, exactly. You know what I mean, Baba? So I'm a civilian. I was once in a life. I'm no longer in a life. Well, I was once in a life, no longer in a life.
Right.
I'm a civilian. I have a 9 to 5, Baba. I make children's programs. I got a family, right, Baba? I ain't got time for the shenanigans, Baba. I don't. So I'm with LaDoja. Call me what you want to call me. But anyway, switching gears, Baba.
Okay.
You know we always got to go here, Baba. Always got to go here. Hold on. You know, it's look when it's the 4th of July, you know, that always pops up, Baba, right?
Yes.
Let me see really quickly. How could I do this? Let me see how I can enlarge this really quickly. Let me put this up.
4th of July.
The 4th of July. Let me
you lying to me.
Come on now, Baba. So what does this say? It says in the year 1852, on the occasion of the celebration of the 67th anniversary of America's independence from Britain, Frederick Douglass, the great Black abolitionist and orator, was called upon to make a speech, which he did. Following is an excerpt from it. Now, I got this family from the book European Holidays, right, by Dr. Barashango, and peace be upon that ancestor's soul. And so it says, what to the American slave is your 4th of July? Right. So this is 1852, Baba, you know, just putting in some context. So the Emancipation Proclamation wasn't even signed yet. Right.
Right.
And so he's saying, you know, what to the American slave is your 4th of July? Right. He said, I'll answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days of the year the gross injustice and cruelties to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. That's right. Your boasted liberty and unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity, your words and rejoicing are empty and heartless. He says your denunciation and tyrants, brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality. Oh, Baba. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgiving, with all your religious parades, oh my gosh, and solemnity, all are to him mere bombast, deceptions, impious and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes, which would disgrace a nation. Hold up. He said crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. So, Bobby, he's saying the U.S. is, you know, what they're doing would disgrace even a nation of savages. He
Mhm.
said, there is not a nation on earth. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour. He said,
Still.
go where you may, right? Still, go where you may, search where you will, roam through all the monarchies and despotisms of the old world, travel through the South America, search out every abuse, and when you have found the last, lay your facts side by side of the everyday practice of this nation, and you will say with me that for revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without rival. Oh my gosh, Bob, I gotta drop a bomb for the great ancestor. That was just powerful, Bob. Here we go.
You know you went hard when you getting bombs dropped on the speech you made almost 200 years ago.
You know what I mean, Baba? Almost 200 years ago. Come on, Baba. So what are your thoughts, Baba, as you was reading, as I was reading this and you were reading along with me? What are your thoughts, Baba?
It's still relevant. That's number one. Frederick Douglass made a very relevant speech that's still relevant today about the hypocrisy of the American Revolution, the hypocrisy of establishing a nation, saying that it's the land of the free, while African people are enslaved. The American Revolution. I mean, even the hypocrisy of a nation that when we begin to fight for our rights tells us to be nonviolent, be conform, wait for the system, and trust the system. George Washington didn't trust the system.
Not at all.
Thomas Jefferson didn't trust the system. We sing an anthem that says, with the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in the air. It celebrates violence, celebrates war. Right. And so Frederick Douglass was not only talking about the hypocrisy of slavery, he was talking about the hypocrisy of this nation as a whole, and how it's used, that image is used to cover up crimes that would shame a nation of savages. That's still relevant today.
Come on.
America still hides behind an image.
Come on, Baba.
Still hides behind an image while committing war crimes throughout the world. And we have to be careful as Black people, because we say we're a part of it. We're celebrating it. And most of us don't even know what we really a part of. Most of us are not even imperialists at heart. Not even true capitalists at heart. A lot of us aren't warmongers at heart.
No,
but we pledge allegiance to a warmongering nation. We even fight to be a part of it. And some say we're going to change it, but we're not even aware of the depths of what you're actually trying to change.
Right.
Frederick understood that. Mr. Douglass understood that when he gave this lecture. Yes, it was an anti-slavery lecture, but it runs even deeper than that.
Absolutely. Baba, let me ask you a question. How do you feel? And I'm not going to mention this person's name. This person and I go back and forth all the time about Dr. Karenga. You know who this person is, Baba. We don't got to say the name. You know, they have a school. And you know, this brother and I go back and forth, you know, about Dr. Karenga. And we also went back and forth about Frederick Douglass, you know, because there are receipts. And I'm going to be real. There are receipts out there of Frederick Douglass. You know, they were saying, oh, he didn't like, you know, he was anti-African, you know, he was anti-Blackness, and he worshiped, you know, whiteness, and he felt like, you know, Black people were inferior and blah, blah, blah. And my answer, Baba, to that was just understanding the culture at that particular time and the psychology that it produced, right? The climate. I try to, you know, even though I know we can never do it, right? But when I analyze history, Bob, and I read something, I try to understand, you know, the historical context of it, right? I try to put myself, you know, even though I know I can't, but I try to put myself in the ancestors' shoes. How would I be thinking back in the 1800s, right? And so, you know how you always say this, Bob, and it resonated me when you say this. You say when things are said and done that I don't like that I, regarding our ancestors. You say anybody that was born during slavery, you say Jim Crow, civil rights and Bopac, those brothers and sisters during that time, you say I give them a pass. Not that you're excusing the behavior and saying that it's okay or you agree with the behavior, but you're like, given the climate, right? What would you have done? How would you be thinking? You get what I'm saying? And so when people come at Frederick Douglass, and it wasn't just that particular brother that I'm talking about, there's a bunch of people that have shown receipts. Oh, he was anti-black. He worshiped whiteness. He valued whiteness. He made derogatory comments about Africans. He did this. He did that. He hated himself. He's full of self-hate. Da 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 da. Right. What are your thoughts, Baba, when you hear it? Because again, I'm thinking like, does that diminish the great abolitionist work, that he did? Does it diminish that? Does it take it away? Do we regard his contributions because of these comments that he made regarding black inferiority and white superiority? So what are your thoughts, Baba, when you hear people attack Frederick Douglass for the comments he made, regarding African people, blackness and whiteness?
History is subjective because we weren't there, right? And I try not to throw out the baby with the bathwater with the story. Everybody's not Nat Turner, okay? Everybody's not going to be David Walker and write David Walker's appeal. Frederick Douglass was the most famous black man in the world at one time. He escaped from slavery. He managed to work his way into abolitionist circles, pretty much self-made. His oratorical skills got him into rooms that other Africans, other black people would not be able to get into. There was one point where he became so popular that he had to leave America for a little while because it wasn't safe for him, and he come back. Was Frederick Douglass ready to burn down the Capitol? No, not according to what we studied. But he's one of those first African Americans who was able to finesse his way into rooms and lay down powerful messages or advocate for black freedom. Now, did he advocate for black revolution? No, but at that time, they wasn't really fighting for freedom. They were fighting for humanity. At that time, they were fighting just to be defined as human beings, right? And so you have to respect a brother that was able to finesse his way into Congress, finesse his way in front of powerful white people, if not to just deliver a message like what is the 4th of July to the Negro, right? And so I have to respect that. I don't have to agree with everything that Frederick Douglass did. I have the luxury of living in the 1990s and 2000s.
Come on, Baba.
I don't have the pressure that Frederick Douglass had on him, right? I don't know what it's like to walk up to a crowd of white people knowing that anyone can grab you at any moment and do anything to you and there will be no consequences. I've never felt that pressure before, right? And so I can't judge Frederick Douglass. I could disagree with his position based on my 200 years of hindsight that I have benefit of, right? But at that time, what education was available to Frederick Douglass to let him know that he was wrong, right? And what you'll find with a lot of our leaders back then, whether it's Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, as they worked and as they sacrificed, they learned who white people really were. Because white America is going to show you.
Oh, right? They show you every time.
They're going to show you every time, right? So I think that we should just learn from our ancestors what the lessons that they taught us, the things they taught us what to do, things they taught us what not to do, and then reserve our judgment on them. I give full pardons. If we can forgive Zuckerberg enough to get on Facebook because it'll help us promote our businesses, of course, surely we can forgive Frederick Douglass. If we forgive today's megala billionaires, you know what I'm saying? Because we want to use their stuff, right?
Come on, Baba.
We can do that. We can forgive BP and the gas stations and other these gas companies and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because we need to put gas in our cars. Surely we can forgive our ancestors who may have had a philosophy or an opinion that's opposing to ours, or one that may have worked against black people. Understand, even when you're in the Black Power movement, you can make moves and decisions that work against black people.
Come on, Baba.
There's an argument to say that, you know what, all that militant action y'all doing out there is putting the rest of us in danger. Now, if someone said that on the plantation, if me and you wanted to burn down the plantation and run away, and somebody said, man, y'all talking like that, y'all gonna get us all hurt. You might call him a coward, but you can't call him a liar.
Come on.
If NASA find out you doing that, you are gonna get hurt. Sacrifices are gonna be made. Period. And there's no decision we can make as African people that's going to keep all of us safe. Somebody black is going to get hurt in a revolution. It's just, it is what it is, right? So you have Africans who said, no, we need to cooperate with them. You have Africans say, no, we need to just separate from them. But there is no just on either plane. There's a process involved, whether you're trying to integrate or whether you're trying to separate. There's going to be a process involved that's going to put other people in jeopardy. So I give him a full pardon, and I applaud him for it, if nothing, for that moment right there, where he talked to white folk in America about their hypocrisy. So that's how I feel about it.
Somebody said drop a bomb for Baba. I got to drop a bomb for somebody. Said drop a bomb for Baba.
Fire! If you did have self-hate issues, let you see who don't have black self-hate issues, hold the first on that.
Somebody said I had to drop a bomb for you, Baba. And so Baba, let's go back in time, right? Yes. So I titled this "The 4th of July is Our Independence Day." Let's go back, Baba. Let's go back, to the 17th. Let's go back to the 1600, Baba. Let's go back to the 1600s, and let's talk about the formation of America, starting with the 13 colonies, right? So let's start there, Baba. So what's for my brothers and sisters who just need a refresher or who may be ignorant of the history, right? Walk us back, Baba. What was going on in the 1600s? And we'll get all the way up to 1776 with the Declaration of Independence. But I do have some slides if you need me to take it. But I already know that you're very versed in that history. So let's go back, Baba. What was going on in the 1600s? Early 1600s.
Early 1600s. Of course, by that time you've had Europeans in this area for about 150 years, and a little over 100 years, and already at war with indigenous people that are already here. But you're talking about 1619, Jamestown, Virginia, when you get these European settlers coming over, representing the British Empire and beginning to establish what would be known by 1776 as United States of America. But first, it was the 13 colonies, 13 British colonies.
That's right.
And the British Empire is the mother of the United States. And those who came to settle over here were often malcontents from Britain, criminals from Britain. A lot of times the story is framed that these were people who were undergoing religious persecution in Britain, so they came over. It really wasn't like that. These were more like people getting a commuted sentence and allowed to come over here and work for the crown. America, from the inception of the 13 colonies, was working for the crown. See, people, a lot of times we forget that New York is named after York, which is in England.
Come on, teach, Baba.
New Hampshire is named after Hampshire.
Teach,
New
Baba.
Jersey is named after Jersey. All right. And so we still live in states that are named after countries in England, right? In cities in England, right? And so that connection has always been there, right? And of course, slavery came with the 13 colonies. Matter of fact, it was the institution of slavery that allowed the 13 colonies to become rich, because you had this free labor force that were extracting natural resources out of the ground, natural materials, your cotton, your tobacco, your sugar, which was huge, right?
Yeah.
And able to transport that through the transatlantic slave trade, right? And so this burgeoning labor force that you have is here, and I'm just going to skip ahead. You get to 1776 or the 1700s, and you have some Englishmen who have become very rich.
Baba, before you go there, I love that Naga Priest said, because he just reiterated what you said. So in these 13 colonies, as Dr. Barashango said in his book, Europeans, holidays, African menticide, I got to go back and get it. It's right behind me, but you know what I'm talking about. Matter of fact,
Love
let
it.
me go.
Love
Let me
that
go
book.
back up here. Let me go back here, Bob. It's this book right here. Woo! African people and European holidays, a mental genocide. In this particular book by Dr. Isheka Musa Barashango, he said that Europe or Britain, this was like their jails over here. Like you said, Baba, you just sent
Yes.
the folks over here to do
Yeah.
some work. And like you said, they worked it off. And so I just
Mhm.
wanted to reiterate that. And Naga Priest said the gangsters and thugs of England,
Thanks
those
and
are the
thanks
people
for
that
being
came over here.
Yeah, you know, and what happened is that people became very rich, and you developed a rich aristocracy over here of gangsters and thugs, right? And they basically got tired of paying tithes to England, right? They got tired of paying tithes to England and wanted to form their own nation. The Revolutionary War was not a war of the poor fighting the rich; it was a war of the rich fighting the rich, and the rich exploiting the poor to fight the rich. Right? George Washington was not an everyday man that was brave and stood up for freedom. No, he was a rich slave owner.
Come on.
Who got tired of paying taxes on rum and taxes on human cargo, on
Come on.
enslaved Africans,
That's
and
what happened.
wanted to strengthen and establish the institution of slavery in perpetuity in the United States. That's who George Washington was. Thomas Jefferson was not an everyday man, blue collar worker who believed in freedom for all men. He was one of the most prolific slave owners in the colony. And when he wrote the Declaration of Independence and said all men were created equal, what he wasn't saying, but saying at the same time was Africans are not human beings. So we can write this document about the equality of humans because by their scientific definition, Black people were not human. So the declaration of their independence was also a declaration of our inhumanity.
Woo!
So much so that they didn't even have to put a clause. They didn't even say except Africans. They just said all men, we hold these truths be self-evident. All men are created equal, and it's understood that an African is not a man or a woman.
Facts.
And all you got to do is read Thomas Jefferson's note on the state of Virginia to find out what his philosophy was when it came to African people. Right? So the Declaration of Independence was a declaration of African inhumanity. And that's something that we have to remember about July 4th, 1776, as far as our ancestors were concerned. That document said you're not included. You're not a part of that picture. You're not created equal because you're not a part of all men. So our ancestors not only had to fight for freedom, they had to fight to be defined as human beings. That's a hell of a fight. So we need to remember that Independence Day has nothing to do with the freedom of Black people. Everything Black people have gained in this country, if you call it a gain, has been bled for, fought for, scratched for, and clawed for. Everything. Matter of fact, Black people fought. They talk about how they talk about Crispus Attucks and how there were some Blacks who fought in the Revolutionary War. There were, but there was a lot of Blacks that fought for the British.
Come on, Baba.
During the Revolutionary War.
Come on, Baba. They sure were.
Their descendants live in Canada today. Because the British promised freedom. Just like Abe Lincoln would promise freedom during the Civil War, the British promised freedom during the Revolutionary War for any Black people who would take up arms against the Americans. And many Black men did.
Come on. And you know, Bob, a good documentary, a good film to watch is Book of the Negro. I love that. When they talk about, it's the story of, our brothers and sisters who fought for the British, and the British took them to Nova Scotia. I'm probably butchering the name, but they took them to this place called Nova Scotia, dropped them off over there. And remember, a lot of them froze to death, Baba. A lot of them starved. They were starving. They were frozen. And these were the people, that fought for the British. And so the Book of the Negro is a good documentary to watch. And like you said, it talks about Black people who took, the British side and decided to move and go somewhere else. And so some of them were in Nova Scotia. Like you said, some of them are in Canada to this day. Baba, you mentioned Crispus Attucks, and I want you to tell me What are your thoughts? Because, he gets criticized as well, right? For, it says that, he was one of the first, I guess you would say Americans, right? To die in the Boston massacre. So it says right here, one chilly day on March the 5th, 1770, some young white boys began throwing snowballs at the British sentry. And it says, when the captain of the guard accosted them, a mob of citizens began jeering, taunting, and cursing the soldiers. They called them the lobster. What did they call them? The lobster tails or something like that. But anyway, it says a riot broke out. And it says a tumultuous crowd began throwing stones and threatening the lobster backs. There you go. Not lobster tail, lobster backs. It says with clubs and sticks. It says in the forefront of the brawl between the Boston citizens and the British soldiers was a runaway slave named Crispus Attucks, who seized the musket from the captain of the guard, punched him in the face, and knocked him on the ground. A soldier fired. Attucks caught a bullet in the chest and fell dead. My question is this, Bobby. People do criticize him. They're like, why would you even intervene? That's between them. Why did this brother, feel the need to intervene in this
Right.
conflict between two groups of white people? What are your thoughts, Baba, regarding that criticism? Here are two groups of white folks battling. Why did he interject himself in their affairs? What are your thoughts, Baba?
I don't think when that incident happened, it happened as an official battle of the Revolutionary War. It was just some stuff jumping off while Chris was at work, and he got caught in the middle of it. He did. Crispus Attucks didn't have a uniform on.
No,
he wasn't. He didn't enroll in the army. Right. He worked on the docks. It's my understanding that he was a whaler. He had either escaped slavery because he was born enslaved. He either escaped slavery or had official free status. He was a whaler on the docks. And during that time, a lot of those early attacks were around the docks because a lot of the conflict was about tariffs and about imports and exports and that sort of thing. And he just got caught up in the middle of it. He didn't sign up and say, we're going to fight the British. He's not Paul Revere. The British are coming. You know what I'm saying? He was just a brother. Like if me and you outside and something jump off, right? We're not going to look and see the politics of it first. If somebody's shooting at me, because they assume I'm a part of something, I'm not going to look at the politics. Hold up. I'm a socialist too. No, it's going down until we can clear things up. So I think when we call him a sellout and things like that, we get a bad rap because I haven't seen anything in my studies that said that he was a card carrying, flag waving patriot ready to fight the British.
Right. But that's how they try to paint him. Like
that's how they try to paint him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was a brother that's trying. He was really trying to because some say he used a fake name, Michael Johnson. Like some say that he was really trying to, like the brother say, stay out the way these days. He really trying to stay out the way. He wasn't trying to be seen. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to stay out the way. Not all black people were enslaved at that time. If you were able to be free and walk around free, you weren't trying to raise a whole bunch of cane, period. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so
that's
I
true.
think Crispus Attucks gets a bad rap.
Yeah. I think he does too. I think he does. They say, oh, he was defending white folks and all of that. Baba, let me fast forward to this. I have a issue with how they teach the Boston Tea Party and family right now. We're talking about, what led up to the whole, Declaration of Independence. And we're talking about the formation of, the U.S. And so Baba took us back to the 13 colonies, and he talked about how the 13 colonies were formed and how they were pretty much jails for, the British I would say Parliament, Bob. Is that correct? The British Parliament. And they were jails, and how, they were getting taxed, and they got tired of being taxed. There's a lot of things happened. So they were tired of, that's why they passed the law, no taxation without representation, right? Because that's what was happening. And so there were a number of events that led up to, the American Revolutionary War. You had the different acts that were passed by the British Parliament when they were taxing sugar and tobacco and all of the different imports, right? You had the Boston Massacre. And then in school, you learn about the Boston Tea Party, right? Yeah. And so, Baba, I hate how the story is taught in the full system. Because, they never, so they'll tell you, oh, this ship, right? The British East Indian Company, this was a ship that carried tea and and some white folks that would dress like Indians, Mohawk Indians. They
Right.
came, they jumped on board, and they dumped 342 chests of teas, and so the Boston Tea Party, that was their rebellion, right, against the British. But they don't tell you that the British East Indian Company was the same company that was transporting our ancestors,
Exactly.
around the world. They omit that part, Baba. And so that's one thing. So I always, when I do teach students about the British East India Company, I talk about how, one, it was formed in the 1600s by Queen Elizabeth I, and it gave the company a monopoly of privileges over the West Indies, and it played a key role in obtaining and controlling British as a world power. And it says it was created to help Britain gain access to Eastern markets, and was Britain's imperial force around the world, especially in Africa and India. And it says right here, East Indian Company from 1600 to 1858 was founded for the exploration of trade in East Asia and in India. So it said traded for cotton, silk, indigo, etc. In 1620, joined the trade in slaves from the east and west coast of Africa for its settlements in South and East Africa and in India and Asia. So when they teach our babies, this foolishness, Bob, it angers me. Because again, from their perspective, but they leave out that part. But it's our responsibility to teach that part. But Baba, but Baba, what are your thoughts on the way the Boston Tea Party, this whole story that's fabricated and told taught to our babies in the food system?
Well, I believe they focus on the Townshend Act and the tax on tea, because that's the only part of the British East Indian Company that they had a problem with. They didn't have a problem with the slavery part.
Right. There you go.
They didn't have a problem with the slavery part. That's probably why they disguised themselves as Indians. Number one, they didn't want to take responsibility for it, right? And number two, they had other business with that company.
Come on, facts.
So we don't want to sever the relationship. We want to complain about this tea, but at the same time, we're not complaining about the enslaved Africans. So let's get it. Let's put a disguise on. Get rid of the, attack the ship. They'll blame the Native Americans, you know what I'm saying, or the Indians, and we'll fight it that way. And so that's all it is. They're not going to mention the slavery, the slave transaction, because that wasn't an issue. They didn't have a problem with slavery. They were the colonists were pro-slavery.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it's important that our children understand that they had a political position in regards to Black people at that time. And that position was enslaved. That position was inferior, subhuman, the whole 9 yards. So when you're talking about the founding fathers and the framing of the United States, you cannot leave out, where were we and what was our position during that time. We were fighting for our lives, our humanity during that time.
Absolutely. And I love when you say that. We were just fighting to be recognized as human. Family, take a moment out right now to thumb up the show, thumb up this discussion. I don't even like calling it a show. Thumb it up, thumb it up, thumb it up. If you're on a Uhuru Academy platform right now, thumb it up, thumb it up. If you're on Dr. Maat's platform, thumb up this video. Also, family, share this video on all of your social media platforms, okay? So if you're on a Uhuru Academy, click the link, copy the link, share it. If you're on Dr. Maat's platform, share it. Let's get this information out to the people. We want to each one teach one. And in the 21st century, in 2023, each one teach one is just pressing a button. So get this information out to the folks. So let's each one teach one. Also, family, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel or Baba Amin's YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that each time that Baba and I go live, that you are notified. So, Baba, I love how you made it clear that the Declaration of Independence is not about our independence. It's about, what did you say? You said their independence and our
inhumanity.
Yeah. I think that was powerful. And I love how you talked about, George Washington and how George Washington is painted as his hero. In fact, Baba, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard or I read that he actually died like in the slave quarters. They said he was notorious for beating and raping his female captives. And they saying that he actually died like in the slave quarters when he was in the act or something along those lines. Baba, what did you hear? What did you read?
I've heard that too, that he actually passed from a syphilis and that he was spreading among the Africans that was under his charge. But yeah, he was a mass rapist. Again, part of considering a people property or non-people, you can do with whatever you want to do with. And for us to be animals, they sure couldn't keep their hands off of us. For us to be undesirable, they sure couldn't keep their filthy hands off of us. And George Washington was no different. You know what I'm saying? And they say he was a very cruel man to his enslaved Africans. Thomas Jefferson as well. They say Thomas Jefferson, the word is that he owned maybe anywhere between 700 and 800 enslaved Africans in his lifetime. And it's on record that he only ever freed one, and it wasn't even the one he was sleeping with. You know, it was on his deathbed, and he freed his favorite manservant, but didn't free his family. Right. And so you're talking about when Frederick Douglass said savages, this country was founded by savages. And I know people are uncomfortable. You don't like to hear that. But anytime you can kidnap a people, subjugate a people, turn a people into property and sleep, you savage. Anytime you can come to a place and send blankets full of smallpox to men, women, and children and wipe them out, what's more savage than that? They teach us that savagery is just because you ain't got on no clothes or you dance and you say ooga booga. Savage is when you have no regard for human life as a human being. It doesn't get any more savage than that, you know. Absolutely. And so, yeah, so George Washington's not a hero, not at the Uhuru Academy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bob, I'm glad that you brought up Thomas Jefferson, because you know what's crazy? They try to paint it how, they try to paint Thomas Jefferson and his relationship with Sally Hemings as a love story. And I was so happy that there was a brother that stood up and he was like, no, it was a historian, and this brother was all over the media and he was like, how dare you? This woman was in captivity, right? And he, so what he was doing with her, given the power dynamic, that was rape. This wasn't a love story. Oh, she just had 7 kids by Thomas Jefferson. I think it was 5 or 7. I don't know, Bible, what the count was, but I know she had multiple children by Thomas Jefferson. And Eurocentric scholars, or researchers, they were trying to change the narrative, and say that, oh, it was a love story. This was a beautiful American love story. But when you consider the power dynamic, captive and slave master, it's insulting, right? To even suggest that this was a love story between the two of them. Bible, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you 110%. It was rape. I mean, could she say no? Could she reject him and go home? Could she leave the plantation?
Come on, Baba.
So how do you know it's ever love in that type of power dynamic? And my heart goes out to the Sally Hemings, plural that lived during that time. How many black people were saved from the whip or from the rope because a black woman sacrificed her body so she can soften up a white slave master?
Come on, Baba, talk about it.
We got to understand that just like sex is used, unfortunately, as a survival tool today, it was a survival tool on a plantation for many of our ancestors then too. That's not love. That's you treat him good now. You treat him good because when he's in a bad mood, look how he treat us. Let's put a girl on him. Let's put a girl on him. When you in there, whisper in his ear to let Charlie out of the barricade. When you in there, tell him, see if Miss Lula can go free because she 80. She's old, and see if she can go free. Can you talk to him? So it's nothing beautiful about the relationship between a so-called slave master and someone that they've enslaved. There's no such thing as love between or true love or healthy love between a slave master and a slave. When the slave falls in love with the slave master, that means that slave has been thoroughly mentally enslaved as well as physically enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
When the enslaved begin to worship the same God as the slave master, that means that the enslaved has been thoroughly spiritually enslaved, as well as mentally enslaved, as well as physically enslaved. That's it. You didn't find Jesus in slavery. You found the slave master's God. And when you embrace that God, that was a symptom. That was the benchmark that showed that your spiritual enslavement is complete.
Come
The
on.
same thing with love. So Sally could have hugged him, kissed him, all she wanted to. That was not love.
Absolutely, Baba. Absolutely. Absolutely, Baba. And so the white folks end up getting their independence, you know, separating from Britain and forming the U.S., wrote the Constitution when in 1776, or that was Declaration of Independence. Declaration of Independence was 1776, right? When was the Constitution written, Baba? Let me go and look. Constitution was written what year? So they got the Declaration of Independence where they said now we declare that we're independent from them. And then let me see. Constitution, U.S. Constitution was written when, Baba?
I believe in the early 1780s.
U.S. Constitution was written in, it says 1787. It says it was ratified in 1788 and in operation since 1789. And it says the United States Constitution is the world's longest surviving written charter of government. Yeah. So yeah. So they're independence. And that's why I titled this, Baba, this discussion, the 4th of July is our Independence Day, because I want our people to understand that it absolutely isn't, And so, Baba, what are your thoughts when you see people, Black folks, our folks outside with the Uncle Sam costumes on? They're spraying themselves with red, white, white and blue. And they're out there, just celebrating. Yeah. And they doing all the stuff. What comes to your mind, Baba, when you see us, running around here participating in their holiday?
I get mixed emotions, a part of me, of course, is like, I ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing. America hasn't earned, I don't believe America has earned that from Black people. You know what I'm saying? Because this country is still not what it needs to be for Black people if we're going to be a part of this country and be free. At the same time, Black people bled a lot for that flag, and sacrificed a lot, even though I'm not in agreement. Black people sacrificed a lot for that flag. And I think a lot of times we celebrate what we want America to be. We ain't celebrating America. We feel like if we celebrate it as that, it'll be that. Kind of like, if I tell that little boy he's smart, he'll be smart. So if I tell America America's beautiful, maybe she'll be beautiful. Maybe she'll be for us what she has been, but you have Black people who have fully invested in that. So we've joined the military. We fought in every war that America has had. We fought in it, right? And so we've been on this mission to shape America, to fit in America, right? And so when I see us celebrating America, I'm like, we still on that same mission. But what do you have to sacrifice? What do you have to sacrifice when you celebrate America like that? You have to sacrifice talking about America's contradictions. And what makes that horrible for us is that we are America's biggest contradiction.
Come on.
So when we ignore it, we can ignore America's contradiction without ignoring us, without ignoring ourselves. Because we're America's biggest contradiction. We're the proof of her hypocrisy. So when we wave the flag, it's almost like you're saying, I forgive the hypocrisy. I'm ignoring the hypocrisy. I'm not looking at it. I'm not fighting against it. None of that. Matter of fact, I won't bring up anything. I'll say we was enslaved, but I'll say, but at least we wasn't in Africa. It was worse than Africa. Like I'll say things to quantify and qualify my own enslavement. So you won't feel bad about it when I talk about it. Because you put yourself in a contradiction that you have to work your way out. Like, how do I deal with this dual consciousness?
Come on, Baba.
How do I deal with it? And so we deal with it by saying, that's okay, school system. Don't teach our history in school. Teach this accepted history that all of us can get around that'll make this make sense to us. And so we say, no, Nat Turner, we're not going to remember you. No, we'll remember all the violent white people, but we're not going to remember Marcus Garvey. We're not going to remember you. We can't teach you. We can't teach Gabriel Prosser. We can't
And
teach
Malcolm X. No.
We can't teach Malcolm. No, we can't do it like not as heroes. It always got to be he fought for black people, but he was violent. But he did so you can't do it. You got to forget all of them.
Right.
And you can remember all their violent heroes. It's all good. Even violent heroes that were violent towards black people.
Come on, Bob.
But we can't, but not our violent heroes. Even today, black violence gets a special badge of shame that other people's violence don't get.
Facts.
Even in 2023.
Facts, Baba.
Even in 2023. So when I see us waving the red, white, and blue, and that's what I'm just looking, I say, look at that walking contradiction.
Right. Facts.
Walking contradiction.
This what I see, Baba. That's what I see. I said that the mental side, here we go. The mental side of Africans, man. And Mental Side by Bobby E. Wright, man. Make sure that you check out it's actually like a small pamphlet. What is it called, Bobby? The Psychopathology. I got it behind me, Bobby. You know what I'm talking about. I want to grab it so bad, Bobby. You know, I'm notorious for grabbing my books. But check out the pamphlet where where Bobby E. Wright talks about, menticide and the mental, condition in which, African Black people lose our ability to critically think in the interest of him or herself in African Black people, right? So this is menticide, right? And so when I see them, I'm like, here we go. I'm like, damn, I just see the pervasiveness, of menticide in our community. When I see folks, dressed up as Uncle Sam and waving the red, black. That's it, red, black, the red, white, and blue. That's what I see. Mental Sado Africans, and I see the results of cultural misorientation, right? And peace be upon the soul of Dr. Kobe Kambon. He talked about this is a thin book, family, but it's a powerful book. Really powerful, like sort of like breaking the chains of psychological slavery. You know how like Dr. Naeem Akbar, he didn't write books that were 500, 600 page books, but he wrote books that were just impactful, powerful, transformative, and he did that within like 60 pages, 70 pages. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like you get hit with a lot of information, in that one. In that one book, right? It's only 60, 70 pages. Anyway, cultural misorientation is a thin book as well. But in it, Dr. Kambon, he talks about, cultural misorientation, and he defines it as a culturally based psychological disorder that's prevalent in our people. And he said it's acquired through the internalization of the European worldview. So the more and more we see the world and ourselves through European lenses, the more and more we have, or the more and more or I guess you would say the higher degree of cultural misorientation we possess. Okay. And so again, it results in accumulation of European cognitive content, which weakens what he calls the African self-consciousness. And he says it occurs in different degrees, right? Minimal, moderate, and severe. And so the more and more we internalize, their history, their holidays, their ideas, their beliefs, their imagery, their propaganda, the more and more we internalize that stuff, then we increase the degree of cultural misorientation. And so in his book, he gives us the pathways. Okay. And let me enlarge this because I really want the family to see this. I really, really want the family to see this. Let me switch it. Let me swap it out. Hold on. So I really want you all to see this. So he said, this is how you acquire cultural misorientation. So if you look at the top, let's look at the bottom. I want you to see how you acquire it, right? So when you acquire it, you acquire it when you first come into this world. He's saying when we all come into this world, we're born into a family system, a community system. And we come into this world with an African self-consciousness, right? Our African DNA, our African selves, our African spirits, right? And he's saying, well, when you undergo a Eurocentric socialization process, i.e., you're going to the public food system. You're being educated by them, a Eurocentric curriculum. They're using Eurocentric pedagogical strategies to instruct you. So you're being reared in a European environment in the home where you're participating in Eurocentric life rituals, right in your household or maybe not in your household, maybe at school, right? And so you participate in annual Eurocentric cultural rituals. So the 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, right? And then it says the presence of European cultural icons. So you believe that George Washington is a hero. You believe that Thomas Jefferson is a hero. You believe Abraham Lincoln is a hero, right? So you see, you're inundated with this. And then you're also inundated with anti-African icons, right? So icons that the Europeans, oh no, oh my God, Malcolm X, no, Martin Luther King, no, Marcus, no, none of those people you named, Baba. So what eventually happens? You see how the head term was black initially when we got here, and look at as they went through this process, Baba. Now the head is white, right, signifying that this person now has cultural misorientation. So in other words, this person operates like a European. This person thinks like a European. This person sees the world through lenses of European people. And so that's why it's important for our babies to undergo an African-centered socialization process, making sure they're reared in African-centered environments, not just at home, yes, but also in school. They need to be in an African-centered environment. What does that mean? They're participating in African life cycle rituals. They celebrate and commemorate, annual African cultural rituals. They are inundated with the presence of African cultural icons, and they participate in African resolution rituals. And what happens? They develop a moderate to strong African self-consciousness, which is ready and equipped for nation building and nation maintenance. All right. And African affirmation. So anyway, Baba, I just wanted I wanted to put that up so that the family can understand what I see when I'm going out here, Bob, and I see black people dressed up with the red, white, and blue on. They dressed as Uncle Sam, and they're doing all this. I said, damn, these are some mental Saddle Africans. Damn, these people were, reared, in a Eurocentric environment, be it at home, school, or both, where they see themselves through the lenses of white folks. They see the world through the lenses of European people, which Dr. Kobe Cambon defines as cultural misorientation. Baba, what are your thoughts?
I agree 110%. I think that's of course, a very powerful and expert analysis of that process by Dr. Cambon. I think if I was to add anything, it would be also a redefining of who we are before we pick up a Black History book. A redefining of who we are in the home. If you don't know Kwame Nkrumah, if you don't know who Patrice Lumumba is, or the African origins of mathematics, right? You're still an African. And when our problem, one of our issues is that our definitions of who we are without being messed with is inferior, right? Like, for example, in our school, we don't say Black people speak bad English. We say we speak African English, right? We don't demonize it. When somebody come, hey man, we be up there chilling, man. We be chilling all the time. You know what I'm talking about? We don't come here talking ghetto. We don't do that. We don't do that, right? Because that's lingo that's created by African people right here in the United States. And so we're not going to delegitimize that. And we don't call any other English proper English. You have marketplace English, business English, and then you have the English, the dialect that we speak at home. Right. And Kwame Ture says, we're not making Black people Africans. We're pulling the African out of our people. So when you see the sister with the colorful braids, right? The pro-Black person, you're not trying to cure the colorful braids. You want to affirm the colorful braids and let her know, that's a very African thing you're doing right there. They might be calling you ghetto, but that's African beauty right there. The gold in your mouth, right? You don't have gold in your mouth because you ghetto. Right. That's something that we've kept because we come from societies where we wore gold on our toes, gold on our teeth, gold on our fingers. You know what I'm saying? So that's built into your cultural DNA. Right. And you start with that definition. You're not about to be an African. You already won when you're born. And we have to do a better job of defining who we are at the baseline. You're not born an N-word. You're not born ignorant. Right. You're already beautiful. You're already a member of the greatest people to ever walk the planet when you come out the womb. Our job as educators is to pull that greatness out. White children are lied to every day about their greatness.
Who you telling?
Okay?
Who you telling, Baba?
And white folks ain't batting an eye. George Washington is the founding father, and he could not tell a lie. Thomas Jefferson was a great man, and they not batting an eye and fighting tooth and nail to make sure that definition stays in the school.
Come on, Baba.
Because they understand the power of history, the power of lineage, the power of knowing who you are, and whoever controls your story, whoever controls your origin, controls your future. Period. That's why we have I'm the king of segue.
You are.
We have the UACI Summer STEM Camp 2023. Let's talk solutions right now. The Uhuru Academy and Conscious Ingenuity have joined forces for the second year in a row to bring our summer STEM camp. And what we're doing in the summer STEM camp, y'all, we're bringing the glory of our past and combining it with the beautiful and the power of our future. Right. And so the STEM camp lasts from July 10th to July 21st. They're going to be putting in a half day, but it's going to be a half 9 to 1 Eastern time, a half day of interaction, a half day of learning our story, right? And then learning about those skills and technological skills of the future, right? And so there's no other camp like this, y'all. There's no other camp like this. And I just told you it starts July 10th. Look, it's already July 4th, okay? Today is the day to enroll. Today is the day to enroll in this camp, right? So basically, gonna come in. We doing African history in the morning. We doing STEM in the afternoon. The Uhuru Academy using our patented approach. You know what I'm saying? Using our call and response interactive approach. We're going to be teaching the African history in STEM, how Black people use science, technology, engineering, and math to people the world, right? And then in the afternoon, they're going to be dealing with conscious ingenuity, where they're going to be working with microbit computers that we're sending to your home. They're getting STEM kits to their home, right?
Baba, let them know today. Let them know tomorrow. We sending them out tomorrow.
We sending the kits out tomorrow, right? Yeah. We sending the kits out tomorrow. So come on, y'all, because I ain't paying no extra for no overnighting and stuff. So get in, all right? We sending these kits out. The STEM kit that's gonna have the microbit computer. We got Google Chromebooks that's gonna be coming as well, right? And the children are gonna have fun. They're gonna learn in the afternoon. They're gonna work on those microbits. Week 1, they're gonna be learning about cybersecurity, right? And y'all know that's how wars are fought now.
Come on, Baba.
In cyberspace, right?
Come on, Baba.
Right. And so week 1, they're going to be learning about cybersecurity, right? And being safe on the internet and the whole 9 yards and keeping themselves safe. Week 2, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, building neural networks, right? We want our children to get behind the technology, to become innovators of technology. Our engineers are gonna develop technology that complements nature, that makes life more efficient for us and complements nature at the same time. But we have to teach them the foundational skills. I hope that makes sense, y'all. And they need the history because we need to give them that African-centered perspective.
That's right.
When they become powerful engineers, they'll engineer for their people. They'll have a perspective on the world to where their skills won't be exploited by people who would want to exploit others, right? And so that's why the STEM camp is important. And shout out to the CAP Center, the Cybersecurity Assurance and Policy Center at Morgan State University, right? For being one of our platinum sponsors for the event and helping us build a pipeline that'll take our children all the way from the basics to a PhD in cybersecurity, right? And so it's not too late to become a sponsor either, y'all. And I do have a couple of young people hanging in the wings that really love STEM, but family can't quite swing the tuition, y'all. So if you want to be a part of this mission and say, well, I ain't got no children to put into the program, the community does. We do have children to put in the program. So it's not too late to sponsor. You can go to the site, scroll down, hit become a sponsor. And of course, we shout out to our sponsors on every page, right? And then you can scroll down and there are ways to give, right? There are corporate levels, and then there's ways you can give as an individual. If you just want to pay for one person, that's a $400 scholarship, right? You might want to say, you know what? Let me help somebody just take care of a half week. Let me just take care of 1 week and send a $200 donation. You can do that as well, right? Because we do want to expose this to children who otherwise might not have access to it, right? So let's make it happen. Our goal is next year to be so sponsored that the people don't have to pay nothing at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But right now, to jump it off though, y'all, the community, this is a community thing. This is for us to do for ourselves. Right. So we want everyone to get engaged, everyone to get involved. Let's make this camp happen. All right.
All right.
I'm excited about it.
Baba, I'm extremely excited. And Baba, could you sit tight at least for about 10 minutes so we can go through the updates and what we have in the game plan? Yeah. And so I can order. I need to order some bubble envelopes. I think it would be cheaper to do that rather than go. Well, actually, I can get them from Walmart, like a stack of them, the bubble envelopes, grab them and get them out tomorrow. Because I do want to start shipping these microbits. So family, I'm telling you, today is the last day. Get your babies enrolled. We're sending out the microbit kits tomorrow. And as Baba stated, we only have maybe like 6 slots, maybe 5 or 6 slots left. Yeah, yes. And that's a maybe, family. So make sure that you click on the link. All right, I dropped the link in the chat a few times. Click on the link, get your child enrolled. Okay, get paid up. If you can't pay today, make sure that you hit up Baba, make some arrangements, and let's get it popping. Today is the last day. Baba, do you have any closing words for the listening audience?
Celebrate your family. And when these holidays come up, pay homage to your ancestors that survived America.
Mm-hmm.
Pay homage. Do not forget the fight that our ancestors went through during this time period. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something to remember. And if you waving that flag, for whatever reason you waving that flag, you know what I'm saying? Remember your ancestors, man. Just remember remember you only waving that flag because somebody sacrificed, somebody died, somebody endured. And you got to ask yourself, did they do all that just so you can call yourself an American? Do all that so you can call yourself free. And that's not always the same thing.
Ashe, family, make sure you thumb up the videos, regardless of what platform you're on, because we're streaming on multiple platforms. Make sure that you thumb up the video. All right. Thumb up the videos. Also, family, share this discussion. Bob and I went in today, dropped a lot of information. And some people, Bob, they were in the chat. They said our discussion need to be played every 4th of July. And so, family, make sure that you get the information out to the people. We know that we want to each one teach one. Sharing is caring. So let's get the information out to the people. And lastly, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channels. Head on over to the Uhuru Academy, subscribe to his YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so that whenever Baba goes live or he uploads new content, that you notify, right? And make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Head on over to dr.maat.msu, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live or upload new content, you are notified. Baba, sit tight. I'm gonna let this song rock out and then we out. All right, so family, enjoy the rest of your I guess this is their holiday, but enjoy the rest of your day off. I know I am, Bob. I'm getting ready to link up with my cousins. We getting ready to go out, have a nice little drink and just chill and relax. Like you said, just chill with the family, kick our feet up and just, enjoy this time being off. So family, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace